today, the candidates making their final pitches to voters. Vice President Kamala Harris in the battleground state of Michigan today, alongside pop star Lizzo. Early voting started there today. Harris then went to Georgia for a rally in Atlanta with another celebrity, Usher. Former President Obama also making campaign stops in Arizona and Nevada. Former President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania today. High-profile Trump backer Elon Musk also holding his own campaign events across the state. Tomorrow, Trump's campaign is hosting a black men's barbershop roundtable talk in Philadelphia. Trump himself will hold a town hall in Lancaster and then attend the Steelers game. Now to a closer look at two critical battleground states, which Michigan and Wisconsin both counted ballots late into the night following the election in 2020. But this year, only one of them is making moves to get those votes counted faster. Shaquille Brewster reports from both states.
They're two battleground states, Michigan and Wisconsin, whose late into the night vote counts 4 years ago descended into chaos, but only one has made major changes to help avoid this.
What we see here is essentially an increasing mob-like scene.
Protesters harassing poll workers in Detroit, scrambling to count the surge of absentee ballots.
My life was threatened. My staff's life was threatened.
Now, a new law in Michigan gives clerks a head start, allowing them to process absentee ballots well before Election Day.
I think it would show voters that the process is clean, that the process is open.
The changes will likely limit a so-called red mirage on election night. That's what happened in 2020, when many cities reported in-person voting results first, which tended to favor Republicans. But absentee ballots, which were more Democratic-leaning, took longer to count.
100% reporting didn't take place until Wednesday morning.
Trump's lead in Michigan vanished later that morning when Detroit's Wayne County reported nearly 150,000 votes. Predictable changes that were used to fuel false claims of illegal ballot dumps.
And then boom, all of a sudden, I go from winning by a lot to losing.
With this new law, when will Detroit have its results posted?
We'll have our results posted by 11 o'clock news. 90 to 95% of our results will be posted by then.
In the week before Election Day, you'll actually see these envelopes opened and the ballots put into vote tabulators here in Michigan. While here in Wisconsin, you may see results come in later. That's because absentee ballots stored here cannot even be opened until Election Day.
Regardless of the efficiencies we make, just the sheer number makes us be one of the last people, if not always the last jurisdiction to report results.
In 2020, Milwaukee finished counting at 3:42 a.m., pushing Biden ahead in Wisconsin. Do you have any projection for when Milwaukee will have its vote reported this year?
I don't. I think what we should expect, though, is not before midnight.
43 states allow clerks to process ballot envelopes before Election Day. But despite bipartisan efforts to change election laws, that doesn't include critical battlegrounds Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
If the American public wants to see our results sooner, there has to be legislative change.
A change to speed up the count in the most competitive states. Shaquille Brewster, NBC News, Detroit.
And of course, stay with KCRA 3 for continuing coverage leading up to the election and on election night. Tonight, 7 people are dead after a ferry dock collapsed in Sibtw Island, Georgia. Eddie Cole is there with the latest.
We're learning that 7 people have died after a gangway has collapsed into the water. DNR officials tell us at one point 20 or more people were in the water. 6 people were critically injured and 2 more were life-flighted out of the area. This all happened as a Gullah Geechee cultural celebration was happening on the island. Folks tell us that this is a big event, annual event that brings hundreds of people to the island. I spoke with the sheriff's office chaplain here in McIntosh County. He tells me that at the time of the collapse, 40 people were on the gangway, essentially from a step and then onto a dock. They were on a ramp. At that point, when those 40 people were on it, it collapsed. Again, DNR officials telling us that at one point, 20 or more people ended up in the water. Officials are promising to provide more information on Sunday morning in a press conference at 10 a.m. We will be there and bring you the latest. In McIntosh County, Georgia, I'm Andy Cole.
Tropical storm Nadine made landfall in Belize today, bringing strong winds and heavy rain. The National Hurricane Center says Nadine should dissipate over southern Mexico tomorrow. And in Cuba, back-to-back power grid failures sparked nationwide blackouts, leaving millions in the dark. George Salas has the latest.
Tonight, Cuba is a country in crisis. At least 10 million across the communist nation without power for the second time in 24 hours after one of the island's major power plants failed on Friday. The blackout putting angry residents closer to the brink of catastrophe amid repression and already growing shortages of clean water, fuel, and food. Because there is no one who can stand this, says this visibly frustrated resident. Regime officials blaming the problem on aging, crumbling infrastructure, already the source of regular rolling blackouts across the island, and on a shortage of fuel imports. The outrage pouring on the streets. With chants of, "We want electricity." The government declaring an emergency shutdown in a last-ditch effort to conserve what little energy was left.
This is a fatal blow of the failed policies, the failures of the Cuban regime on the Cuban people.
Amalia Dace is a scholar of the Cuban experience at the University of Pennsylvania.
Is there any reason to believe that the Cuban government is going to be able to resolve this issue?
No, I don't think they're going to be able to resolve the issue. I believe they're going to continue to blame the United States for its problems, as it's done for the last 65 years.
Cuba's president has vowed there won't be any rest until